Donna Presley returns with another Q&A. Candid, unguarded, and powerfully real. The questions are bold, the answers even bolder. This is truth, told in her own voice. Now, Donna Presley.
Hi everyone, I'm Donna Presley and welcome to my Donna Presley official YouTube channel. As you could probably see, I am at sea in my cabin. It's a little after midnight here and we're on our way to Valencia. So I'm excited about that and to see that, but it's question and answer time. So you ask the questions and I'll give the answers. So what do you say we get started? Question number one, and this is quite long, so just bear with me. What did your dad say when you changed your name to Presley? I haven't heard anything about your dad. Many women allegedly in the 21st century are foregoing changing their maiden name. The irony is that none of them are being scrutinized much. Most of them who do want to keep their maiden name don't for their children's sake. Thank you for your candor. Even Lisa kept the Presley name. But I want to ask you about, did Riley change her name, and did the Finley and Harper change their names? As far as I know, they have not. Finley and Harper are Finley and Harper Lockwood, and Riley is Riley Keough, and then she has her married name. But no, of course they're Presleys without a doubt. Their mother was, but I think that they kept with their father's name. My dad was okay with it. It was my mother back in well, let me back up and get the whole thing started again. In the early 70s, I wanted to model because I'd done some local modeling, and my mom and I went to Denver, and we met with one of the top modeling agencies out there, and they said yes, they would love to sign me. And I was thrilled about that, but they wanted me to use a Presley name. I told them I would not do that simply because if I was going to make it, I was going to make it on my own. But when we returned home, my mother had gone over to Graceland that night she lived behind the trailer at that time, and behind the Graceland at that time in a trailer. And so she went over to Graceland, and she was talking to Elvis, and he was asking her what she'd been up to. And she said, well, Donnie and I have just returned from Denver. And she told him the story about the modeling agency and that they wanted me to use a Presley name. And he said, that's ridiculous. Why would she say no? She's as much Presley as I am. It's her birthright. And just because you're the mother instead of the father, it doesn't dilute the bloodline. And if she ever needs any help with it, you tell her to let me know, because I'd be happy to help her. But I didn't do that at that time. So then around 1985, somewhere around there, my mother was feeling quite melancholy that day. And we were talking. And she said, I feel really badly because I'm afraid the Presley name's just going to die out because Lisa's a female. And, she might take her husband's name when she marries. So I said, well, maybe it's time I, claim my birthright, as Elvis said. And so I added the Presley name to my name. And I told my mom at that time, I said, well, when Stacy gets old enough to get married and everything, I will ask if he and his wife will name, one of their children, or at least their firstborn, and add Presley to the name so we can keep it going. And luckily, and thank God, Stacy and Lee, when they married, his wife, and they had the first child, which was now my oldest granddaughter, and her name's Nashville Presley, named after my mom. So we wanted to continue that, but that's the reason I did it. And then after a very tumultuous and hard marriage, which I've already explained before, I was kind of lost and wanted to, I definitely wanted to just drop his name because I didn't want to use his name anymore. I didn't want any part of that. And my mother and my grandmother were the most influential women in my life. And So I took their name, as I already had. I'd already added it to my name, and I dropped his and just started using the Presley name as my last name. And I will now and forevermore be Donna K. Presley. So thank you for asking the question. I hope that clears it up. And, if anybody else has any question about it, all I have to do now is say, go to Donna Presley Official YouTube, and you can see exactly why I did it. So, I just want to continue the legacy that Elvis and my family left me. I want to do it with honor and openness and honesty and integrity. And so now that I've explained it, I hope you understand that. And I appreciate it. I appreciate the question very much and giving me the opportunity to say that. So thank you very much. Hi, Donna. My question about Elvis is, did Elvis have the beautiful red hair that runs through so many Presleys? I loved his hair natural highlighted color, even though he also looked great with his black, like his mama's. A few older pictures do make it look reddish, maybe auburn, but backlighting can do that too. It looked like Vernon had red wavy hair when young. Well, actually, Elvis's hair was fairly light when he was around 20, 21. It was kind of a sandy brown. It was a little darker. And, most dark-headed people have a little bit of red in their hair. My hair is naturally a dark auburn, almost black. And so I had some red in my hair. But, who can say? Really, actually, it was more of a sandy color. Of course, it was black for so many years, it's hard to remember, and even I forget sometimes what my hair looked like when I was younger, because I've changed it a few times. But I think most people who have the darker shade of hair, or brunette, or whatever you want to call it, have a little bit of red in their hair. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you. Really appreciate your honesty. Thank you very much. I try to be open and honest in every answer. I love Elvis's music and movies. My dad did too. I'm 61 years old. I just wanted to know, was Elvis disappointed about not touring overseas? Yes, he was very disappointed. He always wanted to go to Europe to perform, and he said, he loved being in front of the audience. He loved being in front of his fans, because you're the greatest fans in the world, and he knew that. But yeah, he always wanted to do that. And actually, before his death, the family and everybody that was around him pretty much knew that he had decided to make some changes, and he had already started looking at touring in Europe. And if he had lived, I'm sure that he would. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So, that's why I feel so fortunate, so blessed to be able to go to Europe and talk to the fans and tell them about Elvis and the family and what he was like. And if I can bring him with me, when I'm standing on that stage, then I feel like that I'm continuing the legacy that he'd want me to do. And that, you as fans in Europe can also get to know him on a personal level. Everybody knows the superstar and the icon, but few people actually know, the man inside of himself. And he was such a warm and loving and caring man. He cared so much about everyone, and he was so protective over family and friends and just, loved ones. And he wanted to be able to come to Europe and share that energy with the fans, because he loved giving his energy to you, and he loved getting that energy back from you. So, he definitely would have come to Europe, and I know that he would have loved that. The second part of the question is, was it Colonel Parker's fault that he didn't tour? Well, it seemed like that every time Elvis said, I want to go to Europe, that Colonel Parker would come up with a reason, and a good one, for him to stay. And, I've got this show, or I've got this residency for you in Las Vegas. So, there was that. It seemed like it was he always made it a way where Elvis couldn't go. But, unfortunately, that's the way things happen sometimes. And the third part of that question is, what did you think of the Colonel? I only met the Colonel twice. And one of them was shortly after Elvis's death. He came, to talk to Uncle Vernon about the future of Elvis, what they were going to do now that Elvis had passed. He was, to me, he was quite boisterous. I know he was a good businessman and so forth, and but I felt he was quite boisterous, and I know it kept Elvis working a lot. But anyway, that's my personal opinion. But thank you for asking. It said, "Hi, Donna. Nice question and answer session. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoy it. I enjoy it too. I always look forward to see these. They give out so much information on Elvis, Lisa, and so forth. Thanks for sharing. P.S. I have a question about Elvis and Priscilla. I hope you can answer it. Well, I'll do my best, I promise. I know Priscilla and Elvis were divorced for 4 years before Elvis died. Yes, that's true. Do you think Priscilla ever wanted to reconcile with Elvis? Anyway, thanks again, and God bless." Well, thank you very much, and God bless you. I can't reach into another person's mind and tell you what they were thinking. Do I think if Priscilla and Elvis would have ever reconciled? No, I do not. I don't think Elvis wanted to reconcile with her. They had an amicable divorce. They had an amicable friendship after the divorce for Lisa Marie's sake. He never wanted Lisa to suffer in any shape, form, or fashion over the fact that, he and her mother divorced. So he tried to make everything as amicable as possible. But in my opinion, no, and in the family's opinion, no. He really didn't. I don't think he wanted to reconcile. And as far as what she's saying, and saying that she wanted to, I don't know. But thank you for answering. Thank you for asking the question. If I could ask a question, it is this. If the Smith family and Elvis and the Presley family were once so close after Elvis passed, could you share the real cause of why the relationship faded out? I used to watch their channel, but after some things they said, I just stopped for good. Once Elvis passed away, the Smiths went one way, the Presley went, another way. And we hadn't seen each other for a long time, many years. I can't say exactly, other than that, what the relationship was, other than, we just didn't see each other. I, too, have heard some things that were said, and in my opinion, a man that was so loving and so giving and loved everyone in his family so much and his friends so much, how anybody could say anything derogatory or unkind about him is beyond me. I don't care who it is. I think it's important that Elvis, Elvis has been gone 48 years. And yet today, he's just as relevant. He's still changing lives. He's still touching lives and making a huge difference for the good and for the better in people's lives. So I don't know why anybody would say anything unkind about him. He was human. We all are. We all make mistakes. And, I don't know why anyone deliberately tries to hurt anybody else, or why anybody says anything negative about somebody that was such a loving and caring man and was always there for everyone in his family and for his friends. And even after the bodyguards and all wrote their book, he was hurt. He was terribly, terribly hurt. And to think that that anybody that he cared about and that said they cared about him could say such terrible things about him. So he was terribly hurt by that situation, and as anybody would be. And even though you might forgive somebody, it doesn't make what you said right. That's the best explanation I can give, is that, I don't understand how anybody can say something bad about him, because he was a man who broke all barriers, whether they be social, economic, religious, whatever. People came together and stood shoulder to shoulder, side by side, at his concerts and his movies and so forth, for the love of the man, because he shared so much and he gave so much of himself in his life to everyone. And he did it with complete loyalty, and that's all he ever asked of any of us, was to be loyal in return. So who knows what's in someone else's mind and why they choose to say things that I think are better left unsaid. But that's my opinion. Thank you. Next question. I love your channel. Well, thank you so much. I love being here, and I love having you here. So thank you for that. I did not like Baz's Elvis movie either. Baz seems weird to me. Sorry about that. I have a question, please. I have also heard several people close to him say Elvis had once thought of, at one point he wanted to be a preacher, and can you confirm this? Well, Elvis had a very strong faith and belief in God. And I think in his own way, he was a minister to millions of people. He stood up for his faith in God. I've seen him stop many a concert in the middle of it. And, you know, when people would call him the king, and he'd say there's only one king, and that's the Lord Jesus Christ. And so in his way, he was a minister. I think that sometimes when you're in the secular world, as Elvis was, as far as his singing and so forth, that there are times that you can reach more people through music and through the passion that you have for that music. Elvis loved gospel music. It was his favorite. He sang it all the time. He sang it after a concert. He would get the guys together, and they would sing for hours and hours and hours, of gospel music. It seemed to soothe his soul. And in doing that, he felt like that he could, give that to others. Elvis sang it with such passion and such joy in his heart. So I think in his own way, he was a minister. I think he was a preacher in his own way. Oftentimes music and the passion and the love and the joy that you put into that music can reach people and touch people in far better way than words can at times, because a lot of times people don't want to listen to words, but people love music, and they can get that feeling, and they can be touched by music where words can never touch them. So, I think he struggled at times about who he wanted to be and who he thought he had to be. But, God chose him. And I too truly believe that God chose him to do what he did, and to touch people, not only with his music, but with the man that he was. He was kind and giving and generous and respectful and loving to all he came in contact with. And to see somebody of that that was in that stratosphere of being an icon and a legend and a superstar, to be able to see this person achieve what he achieved in the way that he achieved it. He didn't hurt anybody to achieve it. He didn't step on anybody to achieve it. And he was always gracious to everyone. He helped others in the business. A good friend of mine is Jay Osmond, and he said that, Elvis helped them so much, and he didn't just give them advice. He followed up and he made sure that they were doing well, and gave them advice and help whenever he could. So I think that speaks volumes. And when people would ask him, well, are you jealous of are you afraid the Beatles are going to take over and you'll be out? And like he said, well, there's room for everyone. There's all kinds of music. There's all genres of music, and there's all people like all different kinds. So there's room for everybody. But he always showed kindness and love and respect and generosity of spirit and everything else in everything that he did. So, I think in his own way, he managed to do that. And he managed to stand up for everybody and for what he believed in. So in his own way, yes, he was a minister in his own way. Thank you so much for the question. What a great thing to learn about Elvis and his discernment. That is very wise. He was very spiritual, Donna. Yes, he was. It is obvious you wish to not speak ill of others. And when these questions arise about Priscilla being put on the spot for your opinion, you've answered very well. Well, thank you very much. And it's also obvious how you feel without speaking ill of others. I am so glad to have read Lisa Marie's memoir. It shed a lot of light on the truth. Yes, it did. It shed a lot of light. It's unfortunate that she felt alone, unloved, and abandoned. It's horrible that she suffered abuse at the hands of Michael Edwards, and that she felt like she was tossed about in the ocean like a leaf out in the middle of the ocean. And for that, I feel my heart breaks for her. I wish I had known that, because she was loved, she was wanted, and I think that she would have learned a lot from being raised around Elvis's family, having the values that Elvis was raised with, and the personal relationship with God and with loved ones and family members, that because we were very, very close and loving family. And I think that she would have benefited a lot from that, and I think we would have benefited a lot from being around her. So I regret to this day that I didn't reach out to her. I wished I had, but unfortunately I didn't. And I don't know how long she wanted so much to love, and she was loved. And from all accounts, she was such a wonderful and loving and caring mother. But she had that love and that guidance of Elvis and our family inside of her. And I think Riley and Ben and the girls benefited a lot from being loved by her. It is a catastrophe that she felt the way she did. It's a catastrophe that she lived a lonely life. It sheds a lot on what's been said and done. And I think it's important to know that, as a mother and as a grandmother, I can't imagine, I would give my life for my children, my grandchildren. So it's hard for me to understand that anybody who wouldn't feel that way. But anyway, thank you for your question. This is my opinion, and thank you for allowing me to give that. So thank you. Hello, Donna. My name is, I'm sure I'm pronouncing this incorrectly, Vibeke, and I come from Norway. I was wondering, have you read Lisa's book, and what do you think Elvis would have done if he knew what she went through? The sexual abuse, I mean. Love your channel, and I subscribe. Well, thank you so much. It's great to have you on my, to have subscribed to my YouTube channel. I'm glad that you're here, and thank you for loving my channel. Elvis would have been devastated to know what Lisa went through. He would have been angry, terribly, terribly angry. And as a father, I can only imagine what he would have done had he been around and still been alive and know that what she went through, what she suffered from Michael Edwards. So I can assure you it would have only happened once had he known about it. That's for sure, because he would have absolutely taken charge, taken control, and it would have never happened again. I can assure you that. So thank you for your question. This is from Julie. Why do you think Vernon asked for Elvis's autopsy results to be sealed for 50 years? Did he ever discuss it with you? As you know, that time is almost here. And should the estate release the results to the public or keep it private? Thank you. Well, Julie, Uncle Vernon believed that there was foul play involved in Elvis's death. He greatly believed that. And he had the results. He had papers sealed. I'm not sure what all the papers are, what all it involved, or what was said in the papers. He did have them sealed for 50 years. I think that because he believed that there was foul play involved, and he didn't want someone to become famous from causing Elvis's death. He felt like in 50 years that whoever might have been involved would certainly be gone by that time. And knowing Uncle Vernon and knowing Elvis, they would want to keep it private as much as they could. And I mean, because Elvis was threatened when he was younger, on stage and so forth, and it was quite serious. The FBI got involved and everything, and Elvis once said to the guys that surrounded him, his bodyguards, he said, "If he gets me, you get him, because I don't want someone becoming famous for killing Elvis Presley." So when Uncle Vernon told me that he felt that there was foul play involved in Elvis's death, he told me to keep it quiet, not to say anything about it. He said, "I will handle it in my own way. I'll handle it in-house, the way Elvis would have wanted me to." So whether he was doing it, trying to handle it the way he believed Elvis would want him to, yeah, I think he was. And I think that's why he had the papers sealed. Do I think that the estate should release them? Yes, I do. I think that people should know the truth about the situation and what he wanted kept secret for 50 years, or he would have had them sealed forever, or, buried them somewhere so that no one ever find them or whatever, or burned them. But, yeah, I think that after the 50 years, which I know is coming up very soon, he would want them opened to the public and want the public to know the situation. So yeah, I do believe that they should be released, and I hope this answers your question. Sorry I couldn't give you more information about what's involved there and what Uncle Vernon had sealed, but I guess we'll find out in year 2027. So I guess we'll find out then. Thank you for your question.
Candid, heartfelt, unfiltered. Join Donna next time as more of your questions find their answers. The conversation continues